Hello and welcome to another episode of Cooley Media after another weekend of National League action in terms of Gaelic football, hurling and LGFA this weekend. A lot to talk about this week. The three lads, Aaron Prendergast, Seamus Brady and Liam White are not here tonight. So I drafted in two lads here onto the channel tonight. Seán Carroll, obviously, who doesn't know Seán at this stage, and Killian, the football genius, obviously a renowned Armagh football supporter, on with us as well. So first of all, I suppose, Seán, a good weekend of league action this weekend. The leagues are starting to take shape as well. So how you been?
Yeah, I'm great. Yeah. Obviously, Kilkenny weren't playing this weekend, so we kind of got the break there after the win against Offaly last weekend. But yeah, it's kind of some teams starting to find form there, and a few surprise results, a few kind of like the Galway there, they're kind of starting to show progress. But yeah, all in all, I think a good weekend. Not a bother.
Exactly. So yeah, and Killian, I seen you were at the Armagh Galway game. I watched that game on RT, and Armagh probably deserved something more than obviously than they got. Galway were kind of lucky in many ways, but other than that result, I suppose, how was your weekend?
Overall, weekend was good. Yes, we lost the match against Galway, but I enjoyed the match. I think it was a brilliant match, high intensity. The atmosphere is brilliant too, brilliant crowd overall. So we lost the match, yes, but overall for me, it's been a good weekend and some brilliant action across Saturday and Sunday.
Yeah, exactly. So a load of comments coming in here, and we really appreciate it as well. Ryan Gallagher saying, Matthew, you could really start getting your hopes up for the football and hurling league double. Yeah, I suppose. Good weekend, obviously.
You've started it already. Cork are here already.
So I see post last night, Cork are going to win the All-Ireland, and I think it was Gaelic Crack, and it's the hype was there last year and we didn't win the All-Ireland. But look, I'm more happy about the footballers obviously beating Louth. That was a fantastic result today. Down Drogheda, so fantastic result there. Good question in here from Gavin. We'll get onto the football in just a bit. We'll get onto the hurling first. But Tyrone are a really good young team with a lot of potential. No reason why they can't give the Tailteann Cup a rattle. Gavin's going well in here on Tyrone, but we will get onto the football action in just a sec as well. And Ryan giving Gavin a bit of abuse maybe there as well. But we'll start off with the hurling and looking at Division 1A. We had quite the result today, lads. Waterford beating Limerick in Walsh Park, 121 to 20 points. Limerick put out a very, very strong team, Seán. They really were challenging the league in many ways. And you look at that Waterford performance last week against Cork, they got battered really in the Super Valley Park Keefe. And Waterford then today turn up, and what a performance by them. Charlie Treen getting 3 points, Shane Bennett getting 1-1. Ruben Halloran again, absolutely superb with 12 points on the board. What a result for Waterford this is, Seán.
Oh yeah, absolutely, yeah. Especially coming off the back of the hammering they got. Maybe like a wake-up call, and like the likes of Limerick to have like a fairly strong side out as well. And I suppose maybe the support, in Walsh Park, it's kind of becoming a bit of a fortress, you could say. I know they had a good, in the last couple of years in Munster, they had some good results and stuff like that. But no, it'd be great for Peter Cooley and stuff like that. And especially after Ballygunner winning, the All-Ireland as well. And I suppose the minors winning the All-Ireland last year as well. Things are kind of starting to look good for Waterford. But the thing is, they win today against Limerick then, and then the next weekend, they might go out and lose. There's no consistency really in that regard yet. But no, yeah, good win. Anytime you beat Limerick, you have to earn a win, no matter who they're playing. But yeah, good start for Waterford now, and whether they can drive it on now, I don't know. But as you said, some good younger lads coming through there as well, and like the Bennetts there, getting them back as well. It's a big plus, and yeah, who knows? Maybe they can drive on and win the league,
Yeah, exactly. So very good performance from Waterford in general. And obviously, Killian, I don't know, did you watch a bit of hurling in many ways? But I suppose that was a fantastic result for Waterford, considering what happened last week. And I know it's kind of harsh, but with the Ballygunner lads missing, they may have got a bit of criticism and things like that from obviously certain parts of the media after the Cork performance. That result today has shown that they haven't gone away in hurling circles.
Oh, am I talking here?
Yeah, go on.
Well, I don't know much about hurling, but I would know that Limerick would be one of the top dogs. Waterford have struggled over the past few years, so yeah, I mean, it is a big result, of course, for the Dasha. I was just looking at the score bio there and looking at some of the scores. Ruben Halloran is just saying 11 points. I mean, he must be. I think I did see actually after the Cork game last week, he put a good tally up and was impressive for Waterford. So, yeah, big things there, of course. And I mean, listen, it is only early days, but as you said, Ballygunner players to come back for Waterford as well. And so if Waterford are putting up those score lines against teams like Limerick in the National League, when they get these Ballygunner players back, it could be interesting to see how they do fare in the Munster Championship later on this season.
Yeah, exactly. So the faithful podcast coming in here, obviously Liam White, howdy lads, sorry we can't make it tonight. Thanks for the lads for stepping in, ignore the 2 Offaly games and have a great show. I suppose we have games, unfortunately, Liam.
I was actually talking to him there at the Killian Offaly game there last weekend. I was talking away to him. I think he was optimistic enough. He's telling me that Offaly might get a result, but yeah, it didn't happen. But against Kilkenny, I know we're going back to that last weekend, but they put up a good show. Like, and look, I don't know. It's whether Offaly can drive on now and I suppose stay up. It's similar to Waterford now. Obviously their aim would be to stay up in Division 1A. And who knows? But I think especially Waterford after winning today now, they'd have a good shout and pushing on and obviously staying up, So.
Yeah, exactly. It was absolutely brilliant in many ways. There's a comment coming here from Seán O'Malley. Limerick have been Waterford's bogey team in the past. Could be a psychological factor. And he's also saying here, in fairness to the Offaly footballers, they did give some very good scores last night. And then disappointing result for Cavan. We didn't defend at the arc for Flynn's 2-pointer, which was crucial in the game's melting pot. And yeah, that was a difficult result to take for Cavan. But going back to the hurling, obviously, it was a fantastic result for Waterford, and they are right in the mix for the hurling league in many ways as well. Look at Division 1A as well today. Obviously, Tipperary had a big win over Offaly, Seán, 524 to 118. Jason Ford got 310 in this game. John McGrath, first game back in 2026, he got it on the goal scoring sheet as well. Look, Tipperary seem to be motoring well, and I suppose we'll actually intertwine the Cork results in this. Cork beat Galway last night 220 to 121 as well, and Cork play Tip next weekend in Páirc Uí Chaoimh. So that is a very, very mouth-watering game in many ways because of the order of the final last year, because of the rivalry. And obviously both sides are the only sides with 2 wins out of 2. Yeah,
exactly. Yeah, I think it'll be very interesting now next weekend, and I think both teams will fancy themselves. Like, I know, Tip might win the All-Ireland, but Cork won the league and then in Munster as well. But yeah, it's going to be very interesting. Both started very well, and look, I think Tip, to be fair, coming from Kilkenny man, I think Tip are going to be a hard team to beat this year. Just dim your lights there, will you? I mean, I do think Tip will go very far again in the All-Ireland this year, and I don't think they probably won't want to get too ahead of themselves yet. Obviously they're champions and all, but they're to find some great new players like the likes of like Cottle O'Reilly and cornerback and stuff like that. But Josh Keller as well, and Jack Leamy, all these boys. But again, adding to the strength that they have, and as you said, the likes of John McGrath and Noel McGrath on the bench today, and there's no end to these lads, but they're still delivering. So I think they have that kind of new lads coming on. Lads obviously would have won the All-Ireland last year, and then obviously the experience as well, like Jason Ford and all as well. But yeah, I think Tip will go a long way. As I said, obviously they beat Offaly there convincingly enough. It was obviously in Offaly and stuff like that. So the kind of rivalry there in the border, I don't know, but good win for Tipperary. Comfortable, especially like when you say like Kilkenny, we would have bet Offaly, but I think it was 4 points a week before. So Offaly probably would have looked at that Tip game thinking maybe we can get close again. But yeah, it's hard to know where Offaly are at. Underage, they have some great players, but it's hard to know if they can progress now into the senior, isn't it?
Yeah, it's very, very tough to see how Offaly recovering the Division 1A in many ways. Obviously, our good friend Liam actually mentioned that they had a few injuries here or there. It is going to be difficult for them to stay up in the division. And touching on the Cork game last night, Seán, bit of a weird watch in many ways. They conceded 21 frees, only won 5 frees. That was probably the start of the evening. And maybe some people kind of perceived it, saying that Cork conceded a lot of frees, but maybe there's a bit of bite back in Cork. Galway had a lot of youngsters out as well, and they acquitted themselves really well. So I suppose, would there be positives for Cork to take despite conceding that amount of frees? I suppose the aggression is back in Cork hurling, which is to an extent, that's great to see.
Yeah, the aggression really was, and like Galway, to be fair, they really put it up to them. And I know at half time they were ahead, and I thought it was like, can they drive it on now and kind of maybe see it out? And obviously at half time there was a bit of a few handbag stuff going on before they went into the dressing room. I don't know what the story. Do you know what the story was behind that, or was it just kind of?
It's probably water under the bridge, to be honest with you. It's probably a thing that we don't want to talk about again. With Hoggy and Pat Ryan probably quelling the rumors and things like that.
Yeah.
It's in the past. It's in the past.
Yeah. And I obviously Galway they started well, and they were obviously ahead going in. But I did feel like if Cork were to get in the lead, they could drive on, and obviously they went, I think 6 points up, but then Galway kind of brought it back as well. So, I do still think that Cork are very strong, and I still think they're probably the team to beat, in whether it's the league once or the All Ireland. So, no, but Galway again, they're two good performances, obviously against Tipperary the week before, and then they backed it up again against the Cork. So, it's just all about kind of getting the win now. But I think, look, for me, Hall O'Donoghue, obviously winning is the be all end all, but to get a good performance against two of probably the best teams at the minute is definitely a positive, and it'd be interesting to see how they do go in Leinster this year as well.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So, and just a reunion with Killian, obviously, with the All Ireland rematch in many ways coming up next weekend against with Tip and Cork, both sides 2 from 2 in the hurling league at this present moment in time. Obviously, that was quite of a shock to the whole country. The way Tip dismantled Cork. Do you think it's important from a Cork point of view, Killian, that the Cork do get a win next week, despite the fact it's only a league game?
Absolutely, of course. I think it's a big mental thing as well. I know Cork throughout last season, they beat Tipperary, I remember, in the league final, beat them in Munster as well in Páirc Uí Chaoimh, and then it came to Croke Park. They completely crumbled in the second half. Tipperary just ran riot there and won Liam McCarthy for 2025. But in terms of a mental barrier, getting a win against Tip, who after that All-Ireland final would be massive for me and Cork, for Cork as well. Only time will tell. I mean, if you look back at the football, just Donegal, Kerry, today in Ballyshannon, Donegal getting that victory, that could be a big mental barrier now half for the Donegal players in terms of beating the All-Ireland winners. So I think the same definitely could play for Cork against Tip next weekend. And listen, Cork fans are amazing. I'm sure they'll pack out the place next Saturday night as well. And I'm sure if they get behind the players, that Cork can put a good performance in and definitely have a good chance of defeating Tip here in Páirc Uí Chaoimh next week.
Yeah, exactly. So, and hopefully that'll be an excellent game between Cork and Tip next week. Just before we leave Division 1A, one team that didn't play this weekend, obviously, Seán, you're very, very interested in them, and it is Kilkenny. Yeah. A question coming in here from Peter Griffin. Seán, where do you reckon the Pats will finish in the league this year?
Yeah, it's kind of an interesting one. We have a lot of new players coming through, and we still have the likes of the Ballahale lads and kind of nearly not carrying the team, but I don't know. I could, on one side of it, I could see Kilkenny getting to the league final, finishing second. But then that, I do think Cork. I think Cork will get. I think they'll finish top and get to the league final. And I don't know. Maybe it's going off a bit of bias or whatever. But I feel like Kilkenny might have a strong league, and then going on into Leinster, and look, there's a good chance we'll win Leinster as well. But look, you kind of play who's in front of you. I know we're away to say Limerick now next weekend, and that'll be a big test. I know Offaly they're a good strong team, but Limerick are a different animal. No matter when you're playing them, so. I think like Derek and the lads, they're kind of they're building nicely. Do you know what I mean? And obviously Derek's third year now, or third or fourth year coming in. But yeah, I think he'll want a bit of silverware as well. So a lot of people might think the league isn't all important, but I think Kilkenny will definitely be targeting the league to kind of win that. I kind of build it going into Leinster. But yeah, I do think Kilkenny will make the league final this year. I don't want to call predictions or like that, but I think it'll be Cork and Kilkenny in the league, depending obviously how the results go. But yeah, I'd be happy with Kilkenny to get the league final.
Yeah, it should be very interesting in seeing Kilkenny how they progress in the league this year after obviously their win against Offaly last weekend. Moving on to Division 1B, and I think the main game out of this, Seán, was the Clare and Antrim game because of maybe the rivalry off the pitch between Brian Lowe and Davy Fitzgerald. Yeah. And Brian Lowe beat his old pal, or would I call him old pal? I don't know, to be honest. But he beat him again, 230 to 119. Clare beat Antrim in Rory O'Cushion goal. I suppose it was a comfortable win from a Clare point of view. This was all about maybe the rivalry off the pitch between Brian and Davy. I didn't hear anything coming out of the game in terms of a bit of a bust up at the side of the field, which was surprising to an extent. But from a Clare point of view, David Fitzgerald got 1-1 in this game, and obviously there was 11 or 12 points came from Mark Rogers as well. So a good win for Clare, and I suppose another win to take them in the direction of a league final potentially after their win over Dublin last week.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And I know this going back to where it was in Cushendall. I was up there a week so with Liam McManus, and it's a windy spot on a good day. So I don't know what the conditions were. I didn't see the game too much, but I know conditions are very windy up there. But yeah, look, Clare will be happy, and especially like they'd always want to get one maybe over on Davy. Not that they don't like him, but obviously himself and Brian would have won All Irelands together and stuff like that. So Davy would have been targeting that game to try and get a win. And you're going back to the game against Wexford, they were so unlucky, and you see how kind of animated he would have been. And Davy's, that's what he's like. He's always going to be animated, and that's the character he is. But yeah, look, Clare kind of they're going all right. To be fair, they got a good win against Antrim. It could have been a potential banana skin, to slip up, and Antrim do have the players to do it, the hurlers to do it. So, but then Clare will want to they'll obviously want to right all the wrongs from last year, not getting out of Munster and maybe not performing to their levels that we've seen in 2024. But look, a good place to start is the league, and as you say, like David Fitzgerald, these boys will always deliver no matter what game. So yeah, very I say the likes of Clare people are very delighted now this evening.
Yeah, exactly. So that was a big win for Clare, obviously, and Shane Meehan getting 1-3 as well, which was absolutely fantastic from a Clare point of view as well. Looking at all the results of Division 1B, a very close shave in this one. I'll go to you, Killian, for this one, because the Ulster side was involved in this. Down, nearly shocked Wexford in this one. Wexford 27 points down, 25 points. This game was held in Ballycrannan, County Down. Simon Roach got 8 points, Tomas Kinsella and Kevin Foley got 4 points each for Wexford, but they really got a scare in this one. Pierce Hope McCrickard was the down top scorer with 9 points, and he did very well, to be fair to him. And from what I was hearing from even Wexford journalists out of this, Killian, that Down probably deserved to win this game, but that might be, I know Down didn't get the result in the end, but could that be a good result in terms of getting Ulster hurling in the right direction, a good showing, getting 25 points against Wexford? I know Wexford probably wouldn't be at their full tilt, but still that's kind of encouraging signs for Down in many ways.
Yeah, absolutely, of course. It's good to see these Ulster teams, being tight and being involved in these close matches with Wexford. I know from last week, Wexford only defeated Antrim at home thanks to a last-minute goal there, of course, as well. But it's a very promising result, of course. Yes, Wexford, from what I know, aren't as good as they used to be, aren't as good as they probably should be in terms of the size of their county in the world of hurling. But that's a very good result there for Down, especially in the Ards Peninsula where Down hurling is most strongest too. So yeah, it is a big promising sign of things to come as well there. And so Down and Antrim, the fact both them teams are in Division 1B is very promising for hurling and Ulster as well. So yeah, overall, definitely a result to be proud of for many Down fans and for the entire province as a whole as well. So yeah, overall, Wexford past 2 weeks, close calls with Antrim and Down. Yes, got 2 wins from them, but still the fact the likes of Antrim and Down are being tight with them and managing to make them games big contests and running them down right to the wire, very promising for the future.
Definitely is, and hopefully Down could kick on from that showing. It was a good showing against a decent Wexford size, and then finishing off Division 1B, Seán, Dublin beat Kildare by 219 to 11 points in Parnell Park. I actually saw a text from Aaron Prendergast, who's obviously a co-host of this show as well, and he was saying that Kildare will struggle to win games in Leinster, judging by that showing last night. He said that Dublin didn't perform to their utmost ability, despite the fact that Ronan Hayes got a brace of goals in this one. Donald Burke got 12 points. Jack Sheridan got 9 points out of Kildare's 11, which is kind of a worry in many ways. But would you see this as a worrying result for Kildare in many ways, or do you just feel like Dublin are too good?
Yeah, I think Dublin are as good as nearly. I think they're the second best team in Leinster at the minute. That's probably obvious enough at this moment in time. But I don't know if I'd read into too much. I know people, obviously Kildare probably will struggle a bit, whether it be the Division 1B or in Leinster this year. But it was obviously their first game as well. They obviously had the break last weekend, so they probably need to get up to speed in terms of it's obviously leveled up now, and they really need to get to that level that Dublin are at, and maybe Kenny are at and stuff like that. But it's hard to know. I do think when it comes to Leinster, like obviously Brian Down's over them, and I think you can get them playing the way he did, obviously, the Joe McDonough beating Lynch and stuff like that. I think he can get a result or two, and try and stay up in Leinster. Like, who knows? They could get to the Leinster final. I don't know. But I think Dublin are like on par near with Kilkenny in terms of like they're the top two in Leinster at the minute. And you go back to like Wexford, they're kind of obviously they're there. They can be thereabouts on their day, but consistency I think is where it comes. And I think Dublin have that now, and they'll be obviously after beating Limerick last year. They have the confidence to go on and kind of like really beat teams when they're there. Like, so, yeah, I do think Kildare can stay up in Leinster, potentially stay up in Division 1B, but it's going to be a struggle. But look, who knows?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It was a brilliant result from a Dublin point of view, and they'll be hoping to break into that top two, potentially with Clare in that Division 1B. Just to finish off the hurling, there was 3 other divisions to look at in Division 2. There was results here. Laois beat Derry 25 points to 15. A good performance from Aaron Dunphy and Jack Kelly in that game. London beat Mayo 19 points to 116. Ryan Duffy was the man of the match there from a Mayo point of view with 11 points. But probably the results of the weekend in Division 2, Seán, was a draw. Kerry 2-11, Westmeath 17 points. Both sides ended with 14 men in this one, according to Scorpio. So it seemed like a bit of a fiery encounter there. Tom Doyle and Ronan Walsh got the goals for Kerry. Oisin Mansell got 7 points as well. From Westmeath point of view, 6 points each from David Williams and Killian Doyle. I suppose like a lot of people were talking during the week about this game, including on our pod, saying that Kerry could have won this game. Obviously, the game is on Tralee. Westmeath have been on a downward spiral over the last few years. Lynch are probably the best team in the division. This was probably a battle to see who'd be second in the division. With Kerry going down to the Christie Ring, with Westmeath struggling in the Joe McDonough over the years, do you think this is a good result for either side?
I think, in terms of Kerry, I think it was definitely a game they felt like they could have won. Like, do you know what I mean? Especially you say in Kerry. And to be fair, I was actually watching the highlights on Buff Egan's story. He was down that, and I think you're right with the 2 red cards. He was adamant about them. But I do think Kerry will take a lot of positives. And in terms of Westmeath, you're kind of thinking where do Westmeath kind of go from here? Like, I used to a couple of years ago, they're in Leinster, they were in the Joe McDonough Cup, and you're thinking maybe could they push on kind of like Dublin maybe and drive on a bit more, but they kind of going down a spiral, as you were saying. But yeah, I do think Kerry, like, they do have the hurlers down there, and I do think they can push on and maybe get up to 1B. Did they get relegated last year, or no? Were they in Division 1B? No, they were in 2A.
They were in Division 2 last year, but they got relegated from the Joe McDonough in the championship.
Yeah. So they'll obviously want to get back up to the Joe Mac and push on. But yeah, like they have the hurdles to do it, and as I said, it's interesting to see where Westmeath will go from here. Like they do with the hurlers underage and stuff like that, but who knows? I think it was a result that Kerry could have got a window as well.
Yeah, exactly. And it seemed like a very fiery encounter, obviously, and that was a good encounter for Division 2 later on down the weeks. Division 3, there was results there. Tyrone beat Louth 280 to 16 points. A battering result here. Donegal beat Fermanagh 235 to 9 points, which I heard was some sort of record in the National Hurling League. One result I wanted to touch on with you, Killian, it involves your own county, Armagh. They lost, unfortunately, this one, 226 to 10 points against Wicklow. Shawnee Germain was the top scorer for Wicklow there, but 1-3 in this one. Where is Armagh hurling at the moment, Killian? Obviously, they're down to Division 3. Many people probably wouldn't know much about the sides down below in the lower tiers of hurling. Obviously, Armagh operate at the Nicky Rackard level for 2026 as well. So where's Armagh hurling at the moment?
Yeah, well, over the past decade or so, well, from as long as I can remember anyway, we have sort of been in and around Division 3. That's sort of been our level anyway. But I feel like, there's a good young core coming through here in Armagh, especially here in the city. Like, there's plenty of good young teams, like the minor team, under 20 team, etc. I think there's good panels in there. If I recount to last year, I think it was minor. I could be wrong, could have been under 20, but I do remember we won, I think, a Division 3 All-Ireland anyway, which, I mean, that is promising, I do believe, as well. But yeah, even looking at Armagh's team against Louth last week and Wicklow this week, Jack Lochran, I know he's a good young player coming through, of course, from Katie. From what I heard, he had a good performance against Louth. And looking there at the stats today, he scored 5 of Armagh's 10 points. And Ockram as well. Jack Scallon as well from Cullians, another player to watch out for. I'm not sure if he played today, but I do know he started full forward against Louth. So I'd say overall, like, I mean, currently we are still in that sort of Division 3, mid-table Division 3 almost standard. But I would say in the next few years, when some of the players from the minor and under 20 panels do start to get phased into the seniors panel, I do believe there could definitely be a bright future for hurling here in the Worcestershire County. And who knows, maybe we do manage to challenge for promotion up to Division 2, which for the county as a whole would be brilliant to see.
Exactly. So, and hopefully Armagh can recover from the result they got this weekend, obviously. And obviously there are exciting hurlers in Armagh. Just to finish off the hurling as well, Monaghan beat Lancashire 123-216 in Division 4. Sligo beat Leitrim 220-18 points. And Longford got the result against Cavan 114-112. Look at all those lower tier hurling games, Seán. How important is it to grow hurling in other counties? I know we love to talk about Cork, Galway, obviously Kilkenny, Limerick, but how important is it to grow it in the smaller counties and the less achieving counties, such as Armagh, I suppose?
Yeah, it's very important. And I was up in Croke Park the day of the Club All Ireland, and William Maher is the head of hurling in Ireland, and he was on with the hurling committee. And they were running a refreshers pack presentation for like clubs from like the likes of Donegal and the likes of maybe Cavan, Tyrone, and like counties that won't be renowned for hurling. And basically they were gifting them like hurls, helmets, slitters, and like William Maher he's really adamant about that. He wants to grow hurling, and it's all about getting past the barriers and to do so. But I said like there is only a couple of main hurling counties. But I think look, you have to grow hurling, and even today now I was up in the sports campus in Ireland, up at Abbottstown, with the Meath GA. They were running like an underage hurling tournament, and like they do love the hurling. It's just that obviously football is very prominent and more maybe accessible as well. And even as speaking to Jarlath Burns, obviously he's a fellow Armagh man, but he's obviously the president GA, and he was saying the same thing, that they want to grow the game, and if they can do anything to grow it, it's a big help. So, sorry, but yeah. So I think it's important to grow the game, and hopefully can do so. Hopefully, like I'd love to see the likes of Armagh and years to come maybe challenging for an All Ireland. You just don't know, but even like the Longford there, I was good friends with the manager of Longford Hurling a couple of years ago, and they got to the Lowry Mar final, and it shows you what it means as well. Like hurling is big in pockets,
Exactly. So, and hopefully the hurling counties in the lower tiers can rise up through the grades and all that. We are going to move on to football, but as well as that, we will bid farewell to Seán. Thanks for coming on, Seán, for this show tonight, and obviously best of luck to Kilkenny for the rest of the season.
Yeah. It'd be interesting to go to see how it happens, and I know we have some big games coming up against like the Limerick next weekend. I think that's where like it'll really show where Kilkenny are. There's a lot of new lads coming through and like that, but hopefully I'll be on it again saying Kilkenny won or something. But I'll have to come on it again, and thanks for having me on, guys.
Enjoy the flags in the background, seeing it there.
I know, jeez, I don't know who it was there. Right, we'll head home back to Kilkenny, get out of Dublin, tell you what. Right, talk to you there. Good luck.
Right, see you, Seán. Good luck.
See you. Good luck, see you.
Thanks very much to Seán Carroll coming on there, and we will move on to the football in Division 1, and obviously Killian was at this game, which we'll start with, and it is Armagh against Galway. Armagh lost this game, obviously 3-12 to 20 points, but I as well, Killian was at the game. I watched the game as well last night, and to be fair, I thought Armagh were probably the better team in this game last night. I thought they bossed the middle of the park in particular. A weird stat, actually. Galway won 2 kickouts in the second half long, and the second one they won long was obviously led to the winning score from Rob Finnerty. I suppose the day after Killian, what's your reactions of the game? It was a ding-dong battle, obviously, but you ended up on the wrong side of it. Maybe a game you probably should have won, but look, how do you reflect on it?
I mean, it's a game where you could probably easily pick at least 100 talking points from. I mean, just so much happened, across all topics you could talk about in football. But looking back at it, I do agree with you. Personally, for me, Armagh were the better side in the match. For me, it was scandalous that we lost that match. We shouldn't be losing that match, in my opinion. But then again, it was only a 1-point loss, thanks to a close and free kick, literally last kick of the match as well. So I don't think you can really look at it too negatively. I mean, before the match, I know the whole feeling of Armagh fans was one of high optimism and high confidence. However, after the match, like, it's just plummeted back down to, such a, sort of almost negative feeling among many fans. And I mean, yes, we didn't play our best football. We played some brilliant football, but we weren't at our 100% best. I did like our counter-attacking football, very swift in attack through the wings as well. Players like Ross McQuillan, Jordio, Greg McCabe, Fergal O'Brien as well, even, all looking very good. And for me as well, like, turnovers in and around midfield, Murnan and Callum O'Neill, both amazing with those especially as well. Both those, for me, dominated midfield there in that one. And that's confirmed with your stat there, Galba. Only 1-2 kickouts long in the second half, I think you said there. But, I mean, I think the whole big talking point about Armagh will be the fisting over the bar instead of taking many goal chances. And while I do slightly agree, I think, the whole people are giving out too much to think about fisting the ball over the bar. It's a rule, and Armagh's using it, of course, as a good way of keeping the scoreboard ticking, obviously, and it's not a bad way to get a point, obviously, and keep the scoreboard ticking. But I do agree still, some of those chances you definitely could be going for goal. Like I remember in the second half, Conor Gleeson getting turned over by Jason Duffy. Oisín O'Neill was to his right. It would have been an easy flick onto him, and O'Neill probably would have scored that, but Duffy flicked it over for a point there. That instance, especially for me, has to be a goal scoring opportunity, and we have to be getting the goal from there. As well as that, then defensively for me, we were conceding goals a bit too weakly as well. I mean, the 2 Galway goals in the first half, first of which I have to say, poor enough keeping from Blaine Hughes, the second of which was just a complete mess there, really. Finnerty with the free. I think it was Oisín McDonough who got a flick on. Well, it looked like that anyway. I don't even think he did get the flick on. It was a bit of a mess there. The third goal, I'll give credit to Matthew Tierney. It was a brilliant finish, but still, he was getting in through the defence far too easily there as well. So while we did look good for the most part of the match, we did some brilliant football, some brilliant counter-attacks going forward, some brilliant turnovers as well, and brought real good intensity and physicality to the game. For me still, we need to be taking more goal-scoring opportunities, and we need to tighten up defensively as well. So those are probably the 2 points of improvement we need to look at after that defeat.
Exactly. So, and you mentioned there was a million kind of talking points after this game. There was plenty of talking points. One of them, Peter actually mentioned in the comments. I don't know, did you see the post-match stuff? Killian Geezer in the media, ding dong, ding this week. He took some fair swipes at the ref and Woolley too. Obviously, Colin Parkinson he's referencing. That I seen that this morning. Like, he was, for a league game, he was really animated after the game. Obviously, one of them was the breach involving Joe McElroy, I think it was. Yeah. Another, Woolley asked him the question about what you were mentioning there, Killian, about fisting over the bar. But the geezer actually went back at Woolley over that. I think he was going to box him at some stage. But yeah, it was like, it does show his passion for the game in many ways. But what were your general thoughts of that kind of thing in the media area afterwards?
Yeah, well, I actually like to see it, because it does show Geezer cares even this early on in the league campaign. And he's right for the most part too. I mean, for the Joe McElroy thing, I mean, it's very confusing still, but Joe McElroy, he got injured. He clearly couldn't continue. For me, like, you just can't, enforce the rule in those sorts of circumstances. Like, so it was a really hard one to call there. But for me, the referee got it wrong there, of course. And Joe McElroy is actually, I think he's broke his hand now. He's out for the rest of the league anyway. Hopefully be back for the Tyrone Championship match. So he's a big loss, because in the game time he played against Galway, against Monaghan last week, he was brilliant. Like, in terms of Woolley, of course, talking about the flick over the bar, I think, he's going in a bit too much there. And for me, I think Geezer was perfect with his response there. Yes, got a bit fiery, but it's not the first time he's got a bit fiery, because I remember Woolley interviewing Geezer before the All-Ireland final, and they did sort of have a few disagreements there. So it's not like it's the first time that's necessarily happened. But I do like to see Geezer, show he cares, show that passion, even in those interviews too. And I mean, maybe a lot of it does come as well with the sort of Armagh-Galway rivalry. I mean, it's really heated rivalry between the two sides over the past number of years as well. We play each other 2 or 3 times each year, and the intensity is always there. Like, so maybe that comes into play a wee bit, of course, too, especially considering we let them win by 1 narrow point on our home ground as well. So yeah, I'm happy with Geezer's response there. My one thing about Geezer would be, for me, he needs to be making more use of the subs. I mean, Jason Duffy and Ethan Rafferty, both coming on, both good players to bring on, like, but for me, came on far too late. Should have both been on at least 10 minutes earlier. And as well as that, Ben Creedy, I think, was over enough for about 40 minutes. And yes, Ben Creedy hasn't played yet this season, but still, he's a massive player. He brings good physicality. He'll win ball in midfield. And for me, maybe you could have brought him on as well. So overall, good to see Geezer, stick up for himself. But however, still, in terms of subs, I think they need to be more sharper, more swift, and more concise.
Exactly. So Gavin would have commented here. Galway written off a bit by us in general. Do you think, like in fairness, they had a lot of good chances and they didn't take it to Mayo, they didn't take against Mayo, they took against Armagh. Possibly so, Gavin, possibly so. Liam is saying in here, still think Armagh are on the right track despite the defeat, putting up 20 points on days when you win matches. They'll be a top 2 come the end of the league still for me. Obviously, it was worrying to see the Joe McElroy injury as well. It was a question for you, Killian, I think it was from Gavin, was it? Yes. You go into the height in 2 weeks, Killian. Should be a good game with our Bridges players back, according to Marco Dowd. Biggie for both Roscommon and Armagh. I suppose you are heading to that game.
I will be there in Roscommon in 2 weeks' time. Looking forward to it. I've been to the height twice. We played Mayo in 2022, Roscommon 2023. We lost both those matches, so third time lucky, hopefully, here in the height. But yeah, looking forward to it. And I mean, it's going to be a tough game as well, because Armagh, anytime we play against any Connacht side, whether it is Roscommon or it's Galway or Mayo, it's always a very hard one to call. It's always very tight in the match, very intense as well. And I mean, Roscommon will be out for maybe revenge after we beat them in the All-Ireland quarter-final of 2024 as well. And I mean, even without the St. Bridges players looking very good against Kerry, and then even the beating Monaghan, like Dara Craig, Diarmuid Murda, and the Smith, all very dangerous forwards in there as well. So yeah, looking forward to it. It should be a brilliant match. Hopefully Armagh, as we always do, come down in the numbers. I'm sure we will be there in our thousands in Roscommon. Hopefully our sport can drag Armagh over the finish line. But yeah, overall, looking forward to it. I probably would still back Armagh by the slightest of margins in this current moment, but still, it won't be easy whatsoever, especially with the St. Bridges players coming back. So looking forward to it. It definitely should be a very good affair.
Yeah, exactly. So it should be a very interesting game. 2 points are very interesting made in comments there about Keane McConville. Looks like he's adding something to the squad as well. And obviously, Peter Griffin is saying in here, if Stephen Campbell was still around, Armagh win that match. Would you actually agree with that comment, Killian?
It's hard to know. I mean, I suppose it all comes down to if Soupy was available, what time, what sort of minute, what period of the match would he actually come on in? If he was on the bench there last night, he probably could have come on earlier than the likes of Duffy and Rafferty, because of, he's proven to be a good super sub. But if he was coming on with 10 minutes to go, then that mightn't be enough time for him to make a difference. So I'm unsure, but definitely could have given us a better chance to win. But even without CP there, of course, we probably still should have won that match anyway. So, it was almost, just poor decisions overall, stuff maybe not going our way, thin margins really. But with CP, it is a possibility, but again, it is unsure. It's just such a 50-50 match that you just can't really tell.
Yeah, exactly. So obviously Keane McConville was mentioned in the comments having good displays as there. For me, I thought Killian, Ross McQuillan and Jardy O'Byrne were absolutely superb, and they have been for quite a while for Armagh. Looking back even in last season, I agree with you completely. Callum O'Neill around the middle of the park was absolutely superb as well. So was Andrew Murnan. For the likes of, I know Jardy O'Byrne and Ross McQuillan are probably starters for Armagh, but come the championship time for Callum O'Neill, would you actually give him a start for Armagh?
100%. I would definitely start Callum O'Neill. I remember watching him last season. He only actually played 4 games. Well, he started 4 games last year. He started the last league game at home to Derry. Then he played all 3 Ulster games, Antrim, Tyrone and Donegal. And all 4 of the matches, he was flawless. He was unbelievable in midfield, especially against teams like Derry, Antrim and Tyrone. He was catching balls left, right and centre. All clean catches too, really. He's shown he's got a brilliant mind for winning turnovers, obviously winning high balls, as I just said. Going forward too, he's always good for a few scores, and defensively as well, he puts in the dog work. He's a brilliant player. He's such an all-round footballer, really. He's, in my opinion, on his day, he's one of the best footballers we've actually got here in the county. So, I mean, I would have loved to have seen him play a lot more in the All-Ireland. Don't know where he went after the Ulster final against Donegal, But for me, he's 100% deserving of a starting place come the latter stages of this season. He's a quality player. Now, whether he starts alongside Murnan or Ben Creeley is up in the air, of course. You could maybe move Murnan up to centre half forward, even move Creeley in the midfield alongside Callum O'Neill. But definitely for me, the midfield does look good this year coming into Championship. I know we're only early on in the league here, but looking ahead in the Championship, our midfield could be very strong. And for me, Callum O'Neill has to be a stalwart starter in that midfield duo.
Absolutely agree. Like, Armagh do have very strong options in midfield, and to be honest, the loss last night wasn't a fair reflection on the game. So there's a lot more to push on from a Galway point of view. Killian, it was kind of a weird sort of a game. Obviously, they won it in the end, but I thought they were very, very reliant on Rob Finnerty up front. Like, not much players took much shots other than him in this game. I think he had an involvement of quite a lot. He got 1-6 overall, 4 points from play. Obviously, the goal he got was kind of a fluke in many ways, but he got 4 points from play, which is very, very good. With Shane Walsh and Damien Comer potentially coming back for the championship, where do you see Galway going this year?
It is hard to know. Like, I thought Galway would have done better last year. Obviously, it would have been a disappointing year for Galway after losing another All-Ireland final to Armagh in 2025 to not even make a semi-final, losing their first to Meath in a cracking game at Croke Park. But yeah, I mean, there's loads of Galway players missing this year. Paul Conroy, unknown if he'll return or not. I know Matthew Thompson will be back by May time, which, he'll be a big addition to have, especially for Championship. But I mean, there's other players such as Johnny Heaney, Carl Sweeney, Tom O'Callaghan as well. Good squad players, good players come off the bench here missing. So Galway's depth is definitely affected big time. Damien Comer, likes of Damien Comer and John Maher actually did see in the City Hotel before the match yesterday. So they're there and thereabouts with the Galway squad at the minute. Peter Cook, as I just see there, one of the comments gone to. Again, like, Cook will be another massive miss for me. He's another quality player. But yeah, I mean, Comer, Maher, the likes of them, still around with the Galway team, might sorry, there, I had to change camera there. But yeah, likes of Comer and Maher still around with the team. Won't be long until they're back. For me, Galway once again should be gunning to win Connacht. After that, then for me, definitely can make an All-Ireland semi-final. But you're going to have teams like Armagh, Donegal, Kerry, maybe even Tyrone if they get their act together later on in the year around there too. But for me, Galway full strength can still be one of the strongest sides in the country. And for me, there's no reason why they can't be challenging for at least an All-Ireland semi-final.
Exactly. So they have some talented players, but they need to probably show it at a more consistent level in many ways. Look at the games today in Division 1. Obviously, you did mention at the start of the show as well, Killian, talking to Hurley coverage. This game was talked about during the week in terms of Jimmy's redemption arc in many ways. Donegal won this game 122 to 118 against Kerry. Darragh Boyle was excellent. This one with 1-3. Michael Langan with 4 points. Finbar Rorty was absolutely superb as well with 3 points as well. Obviously, this was a Kerry team without David Clifford in it. I saw one of the comments there, a lot of blood coming into the Kerry team in many ways. But for Donegal, psychologically, you mentioned at the start of the show a bit, Killian, but that was a huge win for Jim McGuinness' side.
100%. Massive win there, of course. I seen it coming, I predicted it, and I'm not surprised, to be honest. Like, I mean, Donegal would have wanted that win more than Kerry, especially after what happened during the summer. I think you find that actually a lot with All-Ireland final matchups. The team who loses the final will end up most likely winning the next match in the league here, and this was once again the same thing. I think Donegal could have been helped big time by the fact the game was in Ballyshannon, smaller venue. Donegal are used to it, of course, played Derry there in the league last year. For me, that definitely could have given them a bit of an edge there, of course, earlier on today. But yeah, overall, I think there are stronger sides still. I mean, Kerry are missing David Clifford. Don't know why David Clifford wasn't playing after playing against Roscommon last week. Paddy Clifford was missing too. They still are a bit weak at the back line. So yes, Donegal are definitely much more near full strength than Kerry. But still, there's no doubt in Donegal a pure class on that side. Darragh Boyle, as you said, 1-3, he was pure class. And I'm a massive fan of Darragh Boyle. For me, one of the most underrated players for Donegal and in the country too. He's just such a brilliant footballer. He's such a brilliant footballer to watch. And he consistently puts in amazing performances left, right and centre. Finbar already 3 points. Once again, that's promising for Donegal, in terms of Finbar already developing his attacking part of his game. Michael Langan, again, for me, is another massive part to Donegal's side this year. I mean, looking back at last week against Dublin, he was and phenomenal form. And again here, he was obviously a massive part to their victory against Kerry. And Michael Murphy coming back as well, and off the bench, scored 1 or 2 points there as well. So good for his confidence too. And definitely that's also a good thing to uplift this Donegal side. So yeah, overall, as a whole, this is a massive victory here. And definitely for me could be a big psychological turn point for Donegal this season. Now they know they're capable of defeating Jack O'Connor's Kerry.
Seán O'Malley in with a comment in here. It's a boost psychologically for Kerry as well. Kerry went up there, not their strongest hand, and only lost by 3 points. Shawnee Shea got some great scores in this one. He did get 11 points in this one, and Tony Brosnan got 6 points. Just from a Donegal point of view, Ryan Gallagher saying I'd choose Mulroney over Patton and goals. What do you think of that comment there, Killian? I know Patton has done well over the last few years, but would you go Mulroney?
I think that is definitely a very fair shout there, of course. I mean, Sean Patton, maybe he's a better goalkeeper, but in terms of kickouts anyway, I would definitely much prefer Gavin Mulroney to Sean Patton. Like, I remember last year watching Donegal playing, Sean Patton had a lot of dodgy kickouts in every single game. He sort of, there wasn't much height in them really. They sort of bobbled along the ground. They were very vulnerable in my opinion, and for me, many teams did not take enough advantage of it. But for me, Gavin Mulroney, yes, maybe in terms of goalkeeping ability, maybe isn't as great, but in terms of his kickouts, much better. He gets much more length in them, much more height as well, which is big when you got players like Michael Langan and Jason McGee, etc., all in around the middle of the park for Donegal too. And he also provides an outlet for scores too. I mean, I've seen against Dublin there last week as well. He kicked over 1 or 2 brilliant 2-pointers, even in the McKenna Cup final against Monaghan as well there the week previous in Oma as well. So, like, Gavin Mulroney for me, very underrated player there as well. And the shout that he should be starting over Sean Patton, for me, definitely is one Jim McGuinness should definitely be thinking about coming into the championship this season. And if Mulroney continues his form, his brilliant form we've seen against Lace and Monaghan and Dublin and Kerry so far this season from the McKenna Cup in the league, for me, I said why not? I say give him the chance to prove himself against Down even in the Ulster quarterfinal, see how he gets on there in Letterkenny and go from there, because he's a brilliant player. And I think he's definitely very capable of rivaling Sean Patton for that number 1 jersey for Donegal.
Yeah, exactly. So a few comments coming in about Kerry in terms of playing as kind of a second-hand team. I know Sean O'Shea and Tony Brosnan really outscored them, but would you see it as a positive for Kerry today, considering David Clifford wasn't playing? A lot of fringe players got their day out in Ballyshannon. Would you consider today a positive in that light for Kerry?
You almost could, of course, when they're missing the likes of David and Paddy Clifford, especially in the forward line. Sean O'Shea still stepping up, of course, in the absence of them is massive for Kerry. Tony Brosnan so far this year has looked very good, and once again, kicking 6 points, as you said, here in this one too is another big positive. And of course, I have got Tomas Kennedy, who's definitely a very good youngster coming through the ranks there as well for Kerry. So definitely could be seen as a positive. Only lost his game by 3 or 4 points, and Ballyshannon too against a near enough full strength Donegal side. So will be interesting to see what happens, of course. And of course, Kerry have many brilliant young talents in there as well. Killian Trant, I think, maybe is another good youngster there coming through the ranks for the Kingdom as well. So yeah, overall, there still is plenty of potential there, and many of the young players for Kerry, and the fact they're getting a good big run out here in Ballyshannon against near full strength Donegal side, one of the best teams in the country as well, is massive too. So yeah, for me, overall, maybe yes, in the short term it doesn't look great, but for the long term, for the rest of the season and years to come, this performance overall and overall even result could prove to be massive for the Kingdom.
Yeah, it was an interesting result in many ways today. A lot of comments about Jim McGuinness. Mikey saying in here, Jimmy won't go for the league. He will pull up the handbrake for the last 2 rounds. And yeah, it was an interesting game in many ways. But we will move on. Paul Doherty just commenting here about Kerry Donegal. Don't take Kerry or Donegal to take much from this game. Kerry has half a team, and Donegal didn't really come out of second gear. But we will see over the next few weeks. Obviously, we will move on to Mayo against Dublin. They finished Mayo 118, Dublin 2-9. Obviously, a lot of people expected Mayo to win this game. Ryan O'Donoghue got 5 points. Darragh Byrne got 1-1, contributing his brilliant start to the season as a young player. Dave McBride got 3 points as well. Luke Brannock and Paddy Small got goals for Dublin, but a Sean McMahon sending off was the big kind of conundrum from a Dublin point of view. In many ways, Dublin 0 from 2 games. They're at the bottom of the league with Monaghan. As for Mayo, 2 wins from 2, bit of positivity there.
100%. I think Andy Moran has done a brilliant job so far with Mayo. Those performances against Galway and Dublin, I know we got to see any highlights from that Dublin game there, but I'm assuming it's going to be nothing but good stuff being shown from the home side there. But looking at the names they've got in their squad, like, of course, I mean, with Andy Moran now in, they've got Rob Hanley back. Killian O'Connor, I do believe, is meant to come back into the frame of things as well. So, like, it's very promising stuff for Mayo, and they're playing attacking football again. Under Kevin McStay, Stephen Rochford, they were sort of playing more so defensive football, I believe, but now under Annie Moran, they're making better use of the forwards, such as Ryan O'Donoghue and, like I say, Ian O'Shea, Tommy Conroy, etc. all as well. They're a very good squad overall, plenty of good young talent there too. These two results, high scoring stuff, 2 wins in the trot here is massive. However, the one thing about Mayo would be, many people do like to say, they do tend quite often to peak during the league, and then come championship, they're just not playing as good as they played during the league, and that is quite the case for quite a lot of seasons, including last season as well, making a league final and then not even making out of the All-Ireland groups too. So yeah, I mean, we won't have a full impression of how Mayo are going to do in championship this year until we do see them in the Connacht Championship too. But so far, as first impressions do go, under Andy Moran, 2 wins from 2 here in the league, a perfect start, a massive victory against the Dubs, especially too in Castlebar, always will be, welcomed with open arms for Mayo supporters, I do believe too. So overall, so far so good, the perfect start for Andy Moran.
Yeah, exactly. Seán O'Malley saying here, I could see more putting their best 2-point options at the half-forward line and have some good forwards inside. Absolutely. And Peter Griffin saying here, Andy brewing up a storm. Absolutely. And Mayo started 100%. Off like a house on fire. A lot of comments coming in here. Sorry to Aaron Prendergast and Seamus Brady, 2 pro Dubs, obviously. Not that one. Aaron and Seamus lost in Mayo, says DC. And then sorry to Aaron and Seamus from Peter as well. From a Dublin point of view, Killian, do you think they're going down? Do you think they're getting relegated this year?
I think so, to be honest. I know many people were sort of saying they're just about to stay up, but to be honest, I think Dublin will go down. I mean, listen, Ger Brannan, I think he's the right man to bring Dublin back to where Dublin need to be, of course, and that is maybe making it to the semi-final, maybe competing again for the All-Irelands again, regaining control in Leinster as well. But this is going to be a big transition year for the Dubs, in my opinion, this year. And to be honest, like, comparing Dublin to other teams in Division 1, for me, their squad is just not strong enough. I mean, you take Connacht out of the Dublin side, I believe Dublin are Division 2 standard side, to be honest. Like, there is loads of new players there, of course, yes, and it's going to take them a long time to, get bled into this Dublin side. And once they do get bled in, who knows, maybe Dublin will look a much better side. But I mean, yeah, I'm just happy. I mean, I didn't get to see them, of course, so far yet against Mayo, but it was a 6 or 7 point defeat there in Castlebar. So I mean, that isn't really promising. Definitely not a result Dublin wanted, especially away to a big rival in Mayo there. But I did see them against Donegal, and I was not impressed with them whatsoever. Now, yes, there still is quality players apart from Conor Callan. Luke Bradnock, I think, is a brilliant young player from last year, and this year too scored, of course, a goal against Mayo today, and Paddy Small too. Kieran Kilkenny coming back is also massive as well, but especially in the back line, I do believe, could be a bit of weakness there, especially with plenty of new faces there. So should be interesting to see. Listen, if Dublin do get relegated, it's not the end of the world, it's not the end of their season. They definitely still can go on, go far in the All-Ireland, maybe compete for a Leinster Championship title again there. It's all work in progress under Ger Brannan, but for me, the league, it's going to be a big transition season here, a big transition campaign, and to be honest, I just don't think they've got the squad to stay up.
Speaking of relegation battles, the final game we're going to touch on is Roscommon beating Monaghan 3-16 to 1-16. Roscommon have had a good start to the league, obviously came close to Kerry in Fitzgerald Stadium last weekend. This game, Dermot Murtagh got 1-5 in the Smith got 2-2, a brilliant performance from them. From Monaghan, a damaging results in many ways, considering they got hammered by you guys last week in Armagh. But I suppose a brilliant result for Roscommon, and they've had a good start to the league, probably unexpected in many ways.
Yeah, unexpected for me, of course. Now, Roscommon, they usually tend to, their first year back in Division 1 after getting promotion back up to or from Division 2, they always do tend to, almost, exceed people's expectations and actually do end up staying up playing some brilliant football. And so far, that's proven to be the same thing once again. I picked them to get relegated at the minute, like after 2 matches. I'm starting to sort of rethink that prediction there, of course. But against Kerry, a game which they were very unlucky to lose, of course. And now against Monaghan, a massive victory there in the high too, especially considering, they got defeated they got beat so well by them in Croke Park in the Division 2 final last season is huge. Dara, Craig and Diarmuid Murda, as I said earlier on, I think maybe in the episode or the podcast, sorry, two very good forwards there over the past number of years, and Dara Craig especially as a brilliant talent, and the Smith too provides the experience. I have been impressed with Seán Lam in wing half-back. Have to say, looked pretty good in Killarney last week against Kerry as well. And now with some Bridges players to come back into the frame of things as well, I do believe Roscommon will only get strengthened here. I think maybe a big thing too I have seen online is Mark Dowd being a Roscommon native, of course. I think there was maybe people unhappy with, or Roscommon fans unhappy with managers coming from outside the county, i.e. Davy Burke coming from Kildare as well. So yeah, I think maybe Mark Dowd being a Roscommon native and all that is helping this Roscommon side. Should be interesting to see how they do get on for the rest of the season. But at the minute, their hopes of survival in Division 1 are looking very good.
Yeah, exactly. So, and it was a good result from a Roscommon point of view. From a Monaghan point of view, though, 2 damaging defeats. You watched them in the flesh last week as an Armagh fan. Do you think they have enough to stay up in Division 1?
It's looking very bleak for them, I have to say. Now, yes, they're still trying to get Scotsline players back. Rory Beggan was back playing against Roscommon today. Unsure how he did do, of course. I think he only scored 1 point, conceded 2 goals, obviously. But I'm sure as the games do go on, he will get better and better as he gets phased back into the side. Ryan O'Toole did appear last week against Armagh. Conor McCarthy, Jack McCarran, likes of them still to come back. But from what I've seen against Armagh last weekend, they weren't looking promising whatsoever. They were very standoffish. I mean, Armagh completely dominated the game from minute 1 to minute 70. The midfield of Carl Gallagher and Gary Mohan last week, I mean, they're just dominated by Murnan and Callum O'Neill. Really couldn't lay a glove on them, really. And yes, there was still maybe some silver linings last week. I mean, Stephen O'Hanlon scoring 7 points was quite impressive there. Andrew Wood scored 1 or 2 very good 2-pointers as well there. But still, for me as a whole, Monaghan need to be stepping up. Didn't see much of Micheál Bannigan in Clonus last week either, have to say. So yeah, I mean, I'm not doubting Micheál Bannigan doesn't step up. He's obviously the captain of the side there, or he has been he is the captain of the side. But he's obviously a brilliant player in there on his day, which he's on his day most occasions. He is a brilliant footballer too, and is always good for a few scores. But overall, as a whole, the team needs to step up a lot more. Now, maybe with the Scotsline players coming back, we'll start to see that a bit more. But yeah, at the minute, 2 defeats on the trot at home to Armagh and away to Roscommon, probably 2 of maybe their bigger games, I guess you could say, especially the Roscommon game away from home in terms of trying to get survival. It's looking very tough now, especially now with trips to Dublin and Kerry as well. They're welcoming, of course, likes of Mayo, Galway and Donegal to Monaghan as well. So, they're not down yet. It's not 100% certain they're getting relegated, but for me, it's looking pretty bleak for them.
Yeah, exactly. So it is a difficult time for Monaghan at this present moment in time, but we'll see how they all progress later on in the league campaign. Moving on to Division 2, I was going to start with a certain result today, but Liam burst my bubble in terms of that. He asked Killian a question about one of the results. Killian, from a Derry perspective, big win today, some good stuff at times to meet last weekend. Could the win against Tyrone finally be the turning point, given that the last 2 years that they had, obviously referred to yesterday's result, and yesterday's result was Derry 115, Tyrone 112. An excellent performance from the Oak Leafers in this game. Conor Glass 1-1. Brendan Rodgers 3 points in midfield were absolutely superb from a Derry point of view. Did you see this result coming, Killian? And as Liam mentioned there, could this be the confidence booster for them?
I actually did see this result come in. If you do go on my channel, look at my prediction video, I did actually predict Derry to win this one by 1 narrow point. They won the game by 3 points, of course. A very tight match, but Derry looked to have been the better side. I do believe this is definitely the turning point Derry have been waiting for all these years. Ciara Mina, obviously, with his work for Derry, the back end of 2023, he beat us, unfortunately, in that Ulster final. He also got Derry to a semi-final, which they were unlucky to lose to Kerry by 2 points in as well. So, I mean, yes, maybe Joe Brawley's unhappy, he's a throw man and all that, but after the likes of Mickey Hart, Paddy Talley, 2 very, very bad campaigns as Derry coaches, Ciara Mina for me is the right man to bring Derry forward. One thing against me that I do believe, I think Conor Glass and Brandon Rodgers in midfield needed to tighten up a wee bit. Here in this one, they look much, much better. Conor Glass obviously scoring an absolute screamer as well in Celtic Park too. Shane McGuigan as well, Paul Cassidy, those sorts of players in the forward line will also be massive assets. Having Gareth McKinless back too as some experience in the back line as well will be big as well. So, I mean, Derry have a very good side, and I think many people seen it quite a lot last season in many of their matches, even though they were losing game in, game out last season. They still were a good side, but they're just getting very unlucky in many matches. But now in Division 2, I think this is perfect now, and especially to get a victory at home to your big rivals Tyrone as well, it will definitely be a massive morale boost as well there. So for me, like, overall, Derry, that victory in Celtic Park against Tyrone could be a turning point, and for me, definitely could be the thing to spark a possible promotion charge, and as well as that, spark a good campaign in both the Ulster and All-Ireland Championships as well.
Yeah, it was an excellent result from a Derry point of view, and very well deserved, obviously, from what I was hearing. An excellent performance from Derry in this game, and they performed well at times in the Crow Park game against Meath last weekend as well. For Tyrone, Killian, they drew against Kildare, they beat Derry. To me, I don't know about yourself, obviously, you might not rate them as highly as me now, but I would have seen them as genuine All-Ireland contenders, considering the young talent coming through, considering the positivity that Malachy O'Rourke had last year, obviously getting to the All-Ireland semi-final. I know Kerry battered them in the end in the semi-final, but it was positive in terms of making stepping stones. To start Division 2 like this, they're like on a tightrope now. I know a lot of people say they'll recover, they're too good not to go up, they'll go up in the end. But they're now 3 points off the top after 2 games. Would you be concerned about Tyrone?
I would be. I'm actually like you. I would have seen before the league campaign started, Tyrone being one of the big contenders for the All-Ireland this year. I think, looking at how Malachy O'Rourke brought that Tyrone side on last season, following on from the campaign of Brian Dooher, I thought it was very promising. Of course, bringing that Tyrone side, who didn't even make a quarterfinal or 2024, to a semi-final last year. Also, probably very unlucky not to make an Ulster final against Donegal either as well, losing by 1 point to Armagh Clonus as well. I thought Tyrone were destined to have an amazing season and be one of the best teams in the country, especially considering they're in Division 2 and like Armagh, Donegal, Dublin, etc. have all benefited from playing Division 2, setting themselves up in terms of momentum anyway for the championship. But it is worrying still. Now, yes, there still is players to come back, of course. Dark Hanavan and Owen McElhone, 2 very good players in there still. And for me, in the game they've had in both those games, they still have both looked very good too, especially when I see them against Kildare. Their link-up play was very good there. But yes, there still is players to come back as well. But in terms of defensively, for me, they are definitely quite leaky at the back line. Niall Morgan, once again, yes, I know his whole thing's about the fly keeper. But again, he is causing loads of risks there. That maybe couldn't help Tyrone at all either. Still yet to have the likes of Kieran McGeary back. Peter Hart, I know, has opted out this year too. So there is massive losses there in the back line too, which also is pretty worrying there. I mean, there still is plenty of good players there in that Tyrone side. I'm sure we might see the likes of Noah Grimes as well, maybe later on this season. A couple other young Tyrone players maybe as well. Who knows? But I don't think the season's over for Tyrone. They've obviously had a very slow start. Obviously is concerning as well. But we'll see how they get on for the rest of the league campaign, and then we will sort of have a look then on how we do believe Tyrone will do this season. So yes, maybe it's not the end of their season. Yes, they can still salvage something, but it's been a very slow start. They were very poor against 14-man Kildare and Oma, and you cannot be dropping points in that game. And then of course losing by 3 points away to Derry, and Derry winning so very deserving fashion as well. For me, just once again, just isn't good enough from a Tyrone point of view. But yeah, I still do believe they will improve. However, it has been a very slow start. But from an Armagh perspective, I tell you what, I'm just hoping they continue that before the Ulster preliminary round match.
Exactly. So yeah, they just at a rivalry standpoint as well, I suppose. Looking at Seán O'Malley's comment in here, I still see Tyrone as All-Ireland contenders like you guys, but there's still very inconsistent. Like last year, beating Donegal, then losing to an out-of-form team, Mayo at home. Yeah, the traits are still there from a Tyrone point of view, and it is worrying in many ways from a Tyrone point of view there. Mikey's saying here, Division 2 was a maze to get out of this year. Obviously, it is, definitely. There's a comment in here from Gavin. Derry's 2 All-Ireland minors starting to show, maybe, possibly. We'll see over the next year or so, obviously, or later on down the league. I have to mention this result, obviously, because I didn't think I'd mutter these words on this podcast, but here we go. Cork are top of Division 2. Cork are top of Division 2 after beating Loud today, 117 to 112 in Drogheda. I was at the game. Comfortable, very comfortable win from a Cork point of view, and I'll be very, very positive about the future, in fairness. And look, that's the first time Cork have won their opening 2 games in a row since in the top 2 divisions since 2015. That was a long time ago. So happy enough with the results. Loud GA fan is saying was a draw today. Credit to Cork. They made Loud look like a Division 3 team, but something dysfunction seriously with Loud today. I'm saying that changing your goalkeeper in an unforced change like that was bad. Was a bad call. There was no rhythm to our kickouts, and we slowed right down. We built what we built on last week all over the field. Loud underperformed. I suppose from that result, Killian, it's a very, very good result from a Cork point of view. Loud probably would have wanted it to perform better than they did at home. Just for context, Cork were 8 points up, and then Dermot Campbell gets a goal where he just kicks the ball. It goes all the way into the back of the net. Fluky enough goal, so Cork were 8 points up at that point. So comfortable win for Cork. And yeah, were you expecting this result today?
No, I thought Louth would win this one. I mean, I just wasn't sure. I thought Cork would be once again inconsistent, obviously. I mean, Cork, once again, like 2 wins in the trot so far in Division 2 is brilliant. But then again, like, you know, you probably expect them to maybe get a victory away to Derry or Tyrone later on in the campaign. But then again, they could even go on, lose to the likes of Offaly or Kildare at home later on in this season as well. So, yeah, it is strange still. But I thought Louth would have enough to just edge it here in this one. So I was surprised to see Cork not only win the match, but more so to win it in such a comfortable fashion. For me, a big thing for Cork this year will be the return of Stephen Sherlock. I know he was definitely a star player there, and he's missed him a lot last year. But even without him, he's still putting up some brilliant scores against the likes of Limerick in the Munster quarter-final, and then that Munster semi-final against Kerry too. Very unlucky not to get over the finish line there in that one in Páirc Uí Chaoimh as well. So yeah, I think there's still some very good Cork players in there. Mark Cronin as well, Brian O'Driscoll too. Brian Hurley still provides the experience as well there. So yeah, Cork still can be an inconsistent side. Only time will tell now this season if that is the same or if things are finally changing with Cork football. But for me, over the past few matches, of course, with the massive comeback victory against Cavan in Páirc Uí Chaoimh now this week, winning and Drogheda by 5 points against the current reigning Leinster champions too. It's a promising start, but let's see if Cork can keep it up, because if they can't keep it up, then things might finally be looking good or might be turning good for Cork football.
Exactly. Yeah, Gavin was saying in here, did say Cork would win during the week with Sherlock starting. Didn't know why he didn't start the Cavan game. And it was Sherlock and Brian Hurley both starting on the same team, which was kind of unusual in many ways. Gavin is saying in here, 11 years without the top flight ending for Cork. We'll have to see. Obviously, Tyrone are still there. If they get a few wins there, Derry got a bit of confidence last night. Obviously, there is Meath, which we'll talk about in a sec as well. Peter saying here, we have Cork in the park. Hard to see us win there. Road trip, though. Absolutely. That should be a fantastic game, obviously, later on down the league. But obviously, delighted with the results today. Obviously, Sherlock at 8 points, which was fantastic for his confidence. We got a goal, which was unusual. Chris O'Jones hitting the back of the net. Few goal chances we didn't put away, which was concerning. But look, brilliant results. And Offaly, now in 2 weeks' time, you look at them at the moment, they have 0 points out of 4, or possible 4. You would imagine that should be a win for Cork as well. But then the Meath game is massive in round 4 as well. So it's a good start from Cork point of view. And John Cleary was very, very happy afterwards. But we'll see how it all progresses from a Cork point of view and a Low point of view in the next few weeks of the league. Speaking of Meath, they beat Cavan today, 217 to 118. Kingspan Breffni, a late 2-pointer from Jack Flynn, won the game for Meath in the end. Fantastic win for Meath, Killian. But this Cavan team, it's almost like they can't catch a break. Like that result against Cork last week, hit by a sucker 2-pointer from Stephen Sherlock. No, this week, the same thing has happened again. Jack Flynn has kicked a 2-pointer to win it for Meath. That Cavan, I would imagine, out of the first 2 rounds, they have to be the most unluckiest team, have they?
Yeah, 100%. Like, Cavan for me have actually shocked me. I thought Cavan, you know, losing quite a lot of players like Pádraig Faulkner, Oisín Kieran, Seán McAvoy, just name a few there. I thought losing so much personnel and experience, I thought they could be possibly looking at a relegation fight. And yes, they're currently sitting in 0 points after 2 narrow defeats as well. But overall, from the first 2 matches, very positive stuff from Cavan. Definitely surprised me at how good they've been in both matches. I didn't get to see much of the Cavan Meath match, but I did see a wee bit of it, and I did see the end actually as well. Very unlucky to lose that one there, of course. They actually did go 1 point ahead with about a minute to go before Jack Flynn put over that amazing 2-pointer. But I mean, I look at players like Darren McVeety, who has looked like their best player so far in the first 2 matches. Paddy Lynch too, he scored 3 points last week down at Cork. I'm sure he also put in a good effort here in the Breffney against Meath. And Gearage McKiernan too, despite his age, still is, running back the years, he still is a very good outlet there and a quality forward to have the Breffney men too. So yeah, it's very interesting to see how Cavan will get on this season, but so far so good. Like, even though they have lost the first 2 matches, sort of like Westmeath last year in Division 2, they were very unlucky. They were putting up some amazing tallies week in, week out, and still only finished the league on 1 point out of 7 matches. So yeah, Cavan will be hoping not to replicate what Westmeath did in Division 2 last year, but yes, 2 defeats in a row isn't great, but you have to also remember Meath are probably, at the minute on form, the best team in this division. Maybe you could say that. And as well as that, then going away to Cork as well, with a big Cork crowd in for the double header against Waterford too. It was always going to be a tricky task. So there are 2 tricky games. Like, many people wouldn't have expected them to get wins in them anyway. Like, so the fact they haven't got wins but still looking very good is promising. Like, so good templates definitely built there for Dermot McCabe's side, but it will all rely on what happens in the next 5 matches.
It's a big game for Cavan next. They face Tyrone. That's a huge game.
Massive.
It's a big Ulster derby as well, and a big game in terms of keeping them up in the Division 2 in many ways. DC's asking here, when are Cork playing Tyrone and Derry? We're playing Tyrone in round 7 and Derry in round 5. So very late on the campaign. So you never know. We never know what will happen. Look at the other Division 2 game, obviously, as well. And that was Kildare beating Offaly 3-17 to 17 points. Alex Byrne got 1-2-1. Cody got 1-1. Sam Doran also got a goal in this one as well. Brian McLaughlin, 9 points against Tyrone last week. 5 points in this game. So he started the league like a house on fire. And Kildare have, to be fair, I seen one of the comments there saying Davy Burke was doing very well coming in as coach as well. That was a comprehensive win for Kildare last night. It has definitely woken up the division in many ways, and they've shown Kildare that they belong in Division 2 and maybe they could push for promotion.
Yeah, 100%. Kildare, very impressed with. I backed them before the league did start to comfortably stay up, maybe finish around 4th or 5th. But definitely now, Division 2 is so wide open. Like, any team could finish anywhere at this stage after 2 matches. But Kildare definitely have been one of the more impressive sides. Saw their game against Tyrone and Oma there. I have to say, like, even after, I think it was Callum or Brandon Gibbons' red card, showed brilliant resilience. Like, and going forward too, you mentioned nice Brian McLaughlin and Alex Byrne as well. Kevin Feely, he also does provide plenty of experience there too. Dara Swordsman cornerback getting the goal there in that one too. Like, there still is such a good squad. Like, there's so much good young talent coming through in Kildare. They're one of the most exciting sides for sure in that division as well. And so far, a point with 14 men in Tyrone and Oma away from home there, and then a comprehensive victory over Offaly too in Newbridge in front of a big crowd as well. I tell you what, like, Kildare football, it had a brief dip there of course, but it's finally back up in the rise, and I have to say, it wouldn't surprise me whatsoever if this season, Kildare obviously are guaranteed in the All-Ireland this year. It wouldn't surprise me if they could do what the likes of Louth and Meath did last year and just really, punch above their weight and put in some brilliant efforts too. And maybe you can mention down and that bracket as well there. So promising signs so far for Kildare. Aidan O'Rourke, obviously from Armagh, is also involved with them too. So yeah, they have got a very good backroom staff there. Brian Flanagan obviously is a brilliant coach as well. To defeat Offaly, who, yes, under Mickey Hard, maybe are one of the weaker sides in this division, but still have plenty of good quality players in there. And of course, beat Kildare in the Division 3 final last year. It still is a massive victory there. And yeah, very, very exciting stuff for the Lilywhites, and very interesting to see where they will finish.
Yeah, it was an excellent result from a Kildare point of view, and it will be very interesting to see where they finish in the league. I think they've had Derry next in round 3, which will be very, very interesting in many ways. Look at Division 3, the results there, just running through them. Westmeath beat Clare 219 to 117 today. Sligo beat Fermanagh 119 to 15 points. So that's 2 losses in a row now for Fermanagh. That's quite concerning there for them. Also, Down beat Limerick 18 points to 114. And Lynch and 8 points got them over the line, that one. And Wexford hammered Laois 23 points to 9. So Wexford, I think, are top outright in Division 3, having started off very well. So Westmeath, Down and Wexford are all in 4 points, maximum points there. So good start for those 3 counties, Killian.
Yeah, Down for me are the strongest side in that Division 3, and it's so crucial that they do get promoted. Not only that, do win the Division 3 title as well eventually if they do finish in that top 2, because they're still not guaranteed. They're still far from guaranteed, actually, All-Ireland this season, of course. And I mean, there's very little hope they'll manage to get to the Ulster final through that run, of course, playing Donegal in the quarter-final, and the prospect of playing either Armagh, Tyrone in a semi-final as well. So, I mean, that is pretty much near impossible for Down. Granted, they still are a very good side, but this is still doable here, and the fact they got 2 wins in the trot is massive. If they had dropped points away to Limerick, that would have been very concerning, but the fact they managed to get a victory there is huge for Down as well. Listen, I mean, they've got such a good squad in there. Pat Haven's quality, Owen Murdoch too, is a brilliant midfielder. Daniel Guinness as well, very underrated. They've got a fantastic forward line there. They've got some very good defensive players in there as well too. Ronan Burns as well, and Nats too, as a brilliant goalkeeper as well. So yeah, Down are a brilliant team. 2 wins in the trot, a perfect start for them. Of course, they've already got one tricky game out of the way in Clare. So they'll have to play Westmeath later on down the line. Should be interesting to see how that game does finish there. But Westmeath, of course, once again, similar to Down, will be hoping to get promoted back up after relegation last year. That definitely would have felt hard done by, especially with loads of those games in Division 2 last year as well. The fact that they didn't even win 1 or 2 of those as well. So, I mean, Luke Loughlin too will be the key player there in that Westmeath side. And I think that win away to Clare is massive there. Clare's hopes for promotion definitely have hindered quite a lot. I mean, they're unlucky in the sense that in terms of the scheduling, their first 2 matches away to Down in Uri and at home to Westmeath were probably their 2 biggest matches in determining their promotion chances. So the fact they've lost both of them is very concerning for the banner, because I thought they were very deserving of promotion last year, but of course fell very unlucky, even though they beat both Kildare and Offaly, the 2 sides got promoted as well. But Wexford, definitely have surprised me so far. A massive victory away for Fermanagh, which I did not expect whatsoever, but fair play to the Yellow Bellies. And as well as that, then a comprehensive victory against Lynch. First year back in Division 3 after a while, and they've looked very, very promising. So yeah, it should be interesting to see how they do get on as well. But Wexford still definitely overachieving. Will they dip? Only time will tell, but still definitely could be a wild card at the minute for promotion to Division 2 even.
Absolutely. So Wexford have started off like a house on fire, and we have to see how they will do in many ways. And Roy Gallagher just asked you a question about Fermanagh there. But look at Division 4. There was results today. Leitrim beat Waterford 116-28. London beat Longford 19 points to 2-8. To be fair, most of us predicted during the week that London would get over the line. Longford's woes continue. Tipperary beat Antrim 113-19. I suppose the results of the week, though, Killian, Carroll beating Wicklow 115-29. Carroll, a bit of a dark horse for many people's promotion hopes in the Division 4. Paddy McDonald hit 1-1. Chris Blake has really hit the ground running in the league with 8 points in this game as well. Were you shocked by that result?
I mean, I suppose it kind of was shocked. I mean, Wicklow for me under Ashley McConville would be the best team on paper anyway in Division 4. But I mean, I always had viewed Carlow as being a dark horse. So I mean, first 2 matches, to get a victory in Portland away at Antrim, and then a victory at home to Wicklow as well, by a narrow margin. Those are the 2 teams who would have been my favourites to go up to Division 3. So the fact they got both those victories, I mean, it's Carlow's promotion race to lose now. I mean, in Carlow's position now, they have to get promoted, because if they can defeat Antrim away from home, if they can defeat that Wicklow side as well, then it definitely should be good enough to defeat the likes of Leitrim, Longford, London, Waterford and Tip then later on in the league campaign. But I do remember actually, in a bit of Carlow we did see last year on the Sunday game, away to Fermanagh, they won that one there by 5 points in the Tailteann Cup. But I was really impressed by the football they did play. Very good attacking football, gunning straight for goal as well. A couple of very good forwards in there, and even their Leinster game against Meath. I know there's a bit of turmoil leading up to that one last year, but in the second half especially, kicked some very good 2-pointers, looked promising there too. So I was seeing signs last year that Carlow actually are not a bad side whatsoever, and so this year, clearly very promising signs. Got a very good squad there too. I'm sure they continue to play attacking football, and for me now, they're in a position where they simply have to get promoted. It has to be a priority now and a non-negotiable.
Exactly. So after beating Antrim and Wicklow, that was fantastic from a Carlow point of view. And one of the comments were saying there that they could be favourites for promotion, and they definitely wouldn't go against that argument. Looking at LGFA, obviously LGFA has been weird this weekend. There are 2 games tomorrow on the bank holiday Monday, but there was 2 games today in Division 1. Cork beating Galway 110-25. Brilliant result for the Rebelettes in this one. Anya Terry O'Sullivan hit 1-2. Katie Quirk hit 5 points, and they beat one of the All-Ireland favourites. That was a fantastic win for them. From an Armagh point of view as well, Killian, they won their first game in the Little National League as well. They beat Kildare 13 points to 9. From what I was hearing, Kelly Mallon hit 5 points in this one. Lana Prizeman got 5 points for Kildare. But a very good result for Armagh in this one, considering the result they got against Waterford last weekend. And a good result for Cork, obviously, against Galway too.
Yeah, promising start there, or promising result really for Armagh. Last year, for the ladies, it was a bit of a rocky year, of course. Many people would have expected Armagh to be at least making another All-Ireland semi-final, maybe going for a possible appearance in the All-Ireland final. But it was very disappointing. I think it was a early knockout to, I think it was home to Kildare, and that's of course who we've defeated there this weekend. A brilliant performance, and as you said, Kelly Mallon, a quality player there too, and especially bouncing back from that poor defeat home to Waterford there last weekend too. So yeah, promising result there, and hopefully big things to come from Armagh LGFA this year.
Yeah, exactly. So good result for Cork and Armagh point of view. This weekend, obviously, Meath and Dublin face off tomorrow, and Waterford face off against Kerry. So those games are live on TG Car, so check them out as well tomorrow if you are in the house, obviously. Some people will be on the road, but we'll see the games tomorrow and how good they will be. Just running through the results in the LGFA as well. In Division 2, Tyrone beat Westmeath in what seemed like a cracker of a game, 4-15 to 6 goals and 6 points. I really wanted to watch that one, but that was a brilliant game there. Westmeath, imagine scoring 6 goals and losing. That's nuts. Donegal beating Monaghan 210 to 13 points. Cavan beating Tipperary 115 to 19. And Mayo on the goal trail in that one as well against Wexford. They beat them 5-14 to 7 points. In Division 3, Louth got the better of Clare 1-7 to 6 points. Fermanagh and Roscommon drew 4-8 to 3-11 in a cracker of a game, it seemed like there. Down beat Lynch 2-14 to 1-14, and Antrim got the better of Limerick 4-16 to 1-4. And then look at Division 4, Carroll got another win across all the codes this weekend. Obviously, they weren't playing the hurling, but they got a win in LGFA and men's football. They got the win in LGFA over Wicklow, coincidentally as well, 14 points to 3-2. Longford beat Derry 10 points to 4. Leitrim got the better of Sligo 5-10 to 2-7. And Offaly got the better of Kilkenny 5-19 to 2 points. It was a brilliant result there from an Offaly point of view. Peter saying in here, great stuff, lads. Thanks a mil. Have a good bank holiday weekend and see you Thursday at 8 p.m. And hopefully the cast will be back as well. But I have to say, Killian, you were absolutely superb tonight. Thanks for joining Cooling Media tonight. And thanks to everybody that viewed. Cheers. Thanks to everybody that commented and all that jazz as well tonight. Ryan is saying, see you next Thursday, lads. Absolutely. And we are looking forward to another preview show on Thursday. Obviously, it's just the hurling next weekend. I think there's a bit of LGFA as well, but football is taking a break next week, but we'll see how that all plays out. Thanks to everybody that commented. Thanks to everybody that watched, like, subscribe, all that good stuff as well. And until next week, we'll see you then. Take care and enjoy the bank holiday weekend.
Instinct, baby.